If you are interested in registering for any of my online classes, please visit creativeartscenter.org to sign up for upcoming sessions. This video was edited for public viewing and to give future students an example of my class structure. My students' identity was protected in this video. Thank you for watching, and let's get started on our class. All right, guys, does everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so we're gonna start today. Of course, we're gonna start with just critiquing project two, and it's just pretty much just looking over what everybody has done, which I think just seeing the work and as they were coming in, each and every one of you did an amazing job when it came to these pieces, and I enjoyed looking at them and just seeing the creative process, and that is different for everybody. So we're gonna start with that, and then I'm gonna move into the lecture for project three. And then before we watch our demo video, we'll take a 10-minute break. Then we'll watch a demo video, and then we'll go ahead and get started with our thumbnails for the rest of the class period. And if some of you guys have time and we get to an end product for our final thumbnail, then we will go ahead and get started on that. And we might be able to do that in class today, but we'll see how time goes. So just to get started, and just really quick, let me get my um, open up. There we go. That way I can see you guys there now. Wasn't seeing anybody. So I'm gonna start with you, Angie, and I'm gonna show just very briefly uh, Angie's project one, because Angie, I don't know what it is, but I think this
I
whole
can't.
abstract thing is definitely for you. You have
Oh,
some very
Wow.
beautiful
Cool.
pieces, just beautiful. So this was her project one. And I absolutely love the line weight variation. I love the values in your line. I even love the variation when it comes to your curved lines. This is really, really beautiful to just look at. Once again, I do believe it's probably another artwork that you probably should frame. That's yours. I think it's a beautiful piece.
um, yeah, I realized once I put in the curved lines that it looked really Art Deco-ish
Ah, yeah, it
to
does.
me,
It
but
does.
it wasn't until I put in the curved lines.
But I think it added a little bit more of an interest, another visual effect that we can look at, a contrasting of lines also that's there that I absolutely love. And I love that you maintain your balance in the composition. So you did a really great job with this piece. It's one of those things that, like, once again, as an artist, I'm always amazed when I see other artists can come up with a composition with just simple elements and it still packs a punch. Like this packs a punch. You want to look at it. You want to explore. You want to spend time with it. It's just really amazing to see. Like I absolutely love it. Good job, Bench.
Thank you.
All right, so the next one is Angie Project Two, which I think you got this done rather quickly, right?
I did.
Yeah.
That looks nice. Cool.
Exactly. These were her thumbnails that are here. Of course, she went with thumbnail number two. This is the end product. I love this piece. I love that it may not look like it has a balance, but it has a balance within the composition as well as there's a contrast layout in the composition because although it's balanced when it comes to the overall weight of the composition, what's happening on this side isn't 100% mirroring what's happening on that side. So there's a contrast within the composition, the layout of it. And I absolutely love that. I love that you have a ton of overlapping because that adds with a little bit of space, which we're going to learn today with Project 3. And then what I also love is the four tonal plans that you went with going with the white background because that also helps with the contrast of our black and our darker gray in the middle ground. We don't really we have some lighter grays and some darker grays, but I think you did a great job with just kind of organizing that. Once again, it's another piece that I absolutely love. This is one of those pieces. Although, I think if it switches over into possibly oil paint or acrylic paint because that'll give you a little bit more of a solid color without the streaks. I think it would definitely hold up on its own as a painting, but it's quite beautiful to look at. I really want to look at it. I want to stare. I want to explore. Once again, you just did a really good job. Really good job. All right, guys. So next we have I did just close out on that. uh next we have Anne. And so guys, these these thumbnails. Let me see, let me make sure I got the right ones in.
Mhm.
Computer, there you go. So these were the thumbnails that Anne sent me. I know you sent me more, but you ended
Yeah,
up going with
but
number three.
correct.
Which I think you did a great job. I know this was the other one that I liked that I circled because when she sent me to them, I circled the ones that I was visually attracted to, and I thought this
Mhm.
one was quite beautiful as well. Just seeing, I think what I love is just this overall C shape, and
Yeah.
it's not quite in the foreground, in my opinion. It's more so
Hmm.
the middle ground, and it could be just your value organization that's giving you a little bit of
Hmm.
space of a foreground, middle ground kind of background. And it could just be that this is very, it's like an emphasis of this
Hmm.
huge shape, but it's also being pushed into the middle ground. So I think you did a great job with organizing
Thanks.
that, whether you thought about it or not. But it's a really interesting composition to me that I just
Thanks. And
enjoyed.
you can tell that I was having trouble learning how to use the markers.
But that's what your thumbnails are for. Your thumbnails are for you to experiment. It's for you to figure out things, learn your materials. That's what thumbnails are for, and that's as a student, I never understood that. I used to always just get annoyed, and I used to be like, "Why do I have to do so many thumbnails?" But as I aged, and just as a student, also as a professional artist, I learned very quickly that no, you need thumbnails to try out new things. That's a lot of artists use thumbnails for that. So the fact that you even spent time with your materials just to try to get to know them, like you're doing what you're supposed to do, and I'm once again, I'm just happy to see that you're working with them and you're trying to understand them. I
Mhm.
think you did a good
I,
job.
I like to see how you saw the marking on the
Right.
edges of the like the
Uh-huh.
graphic outlining of just placement and everything. That was very
Hmm.
smart. Cool. Oh,
Her
that's neat.
Very cool.
her grading because she had a very unique way of grading and putting her shapes down in general. Yeah, no, I don't know. It's something about the process that even as a student, I used to go to the museums and I used to love paintings that were unfinished because I was able to see the artist's process, and I got
Hmm.
so excited about that versus seeing an artist with a finished product. Because I think because when you see an artist that didn't finish their piece, it helps me understand. Okay, these are the stuff that this artist took, and I was able to learn from that. It was a little bit harder for me to figure out what steps an artist took with the end product. So it was kind of, I don't even know how that happened as a student, but it was just one of those things that I learned going to museums that I absolutely love when an artwork is not done.
Hmm.
It's something about seeing that process. And I think that is what kind of attracts you to Anne's thumbnail is the fact that you're seeing her process and her thoughts and as she's going. So it definitely is cool to see that. So this is her finished product. With I believe it was thumbnail number three. And I think you
Hmm.
did a great job. Like very clean lines.
Thanks.
You could still tell that you were kind of learning to use those materials. But also it shows that you were starting to get better at using your markers and keeping
Hmm.
a very clean and sleek line with markers that it's hard to do. They bleed. So
Yeah.
I think you did a great job with that. You maintain less streaks, and you got very, very solid flat tone on
Yep.
your
Hmm.
actual paper. So I think you did a really good job with this piece. I actually love the
Thanks. And
I
composition.
you can,
love the overlap.
Yeah.
thanks.
I
Well,
love them.
and then I had to white out because I drew that circle and then I realized that that line was not supposed to be there because the white circle was in front of the black circle in the upper left-hand corner. So that's a little white out.
Yeah, no, I actually noticed it, but also it adds a little bit, it adds an extra shape to your composition.
Oh.
And it adds a contrast of a shape because it's an organic shape versus a geometric.
Mhm.
So it kind of
Uh-oh.
it works in your favor.
Uh, somehow I can't find my mute button.
Ah, um,
I'm way at the top and it's, oh, okay. I'm sorry. I
did you
think I
find
got it.
it?
I got it.
Okay. You're good. You're good, Angie.
Just go like this.
Yeah.
All right, but good job, Anne. I really enjoyed seeing this piece in your process. All right, and then next is Karen. And Karen, I just wanted to ask a quick question. Because I know I need to show your thumbnails first. Your thumbnail.
It's kind of a hot mess. Sorry.
No, you're
No, it's interesting. It's
uh
inspiring.
so
Yeah.
this is Karen's thumbnails that are here, and I know you went with number three. We can clearly see that with your process. But I think you had some really, really good ideas when it comes to the shapes, how you're laying them down and organizing your element within your composition. And I'm glad you went with three. Like three, don't get me wrong, I love one, I love two, but three is very interesting to look at. There's a lot of overlapping that's happening, a great organization of values. And within the composition, we kind of have three different compositions in one because all of these shapes are kind of grouped together. But it works as a whole, as a unit, although we have this kind of variety of shapes. So I think you did a great job, which is getting your thumbnails down. I definitely do know that it's hard sometimes for students to come up with these ideas because you don't have anything in front of you, like it's literally being pulled out of your brain. So the fact that you can come down or at least get down three different compositions, three different ideas, and you're able to use one for your overall composition and still explore from there. I think you guys are doing a great job because what I love about abstract drawing is the fact that I get to see the creativity that comes from my students. A lot of my students that took me for drawing one or drawing two or any of my foundation drawing classes or even upper division, I'm in control of the creativity. This is the one class I'm not in control of the creativity. And that's what I absolutely love about this class because I get to see so many different things that I probably wouldn't even get to see from my students. So I think you guys are doing a great job with a lot of these pieces. So Karen, the one question that I noticed is that although you used a lot of grays, but you use temperature of grays. You have warm grays, you have cool grays. So I kind of noticed that. Did your set come with temperatures of grays, or did you just like, hey?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because they look kind of green.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was surprised because some of these I wouldn't even think were gray, but they came in
They're
the
gray.
box. So
Yeah,
Mhm.
they're neutral
Show us
colors.
what box you got.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
interested.
It's all about the tools now.
Which one? What?
oh,
What's the
subtle
brand?
art.
shuttle art just on Amazon, of course.
Huh,
And
okay,
it's just a box of cools and warm grays.
great. Yeah.
Um, Gray tones is what it's called, and there's 15 kinds, and they're, I don't know, are all of them double-sided? Because I thought that was kind of cool. Pointy on one end
It
and bigger.
depends on how they're made. You could have one side with a different nib and the other side is a different nib. Yeah, it
Hmm.
looks like you got
Yeah.
chisel and bullet nib. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
Mm.
I just thought it was interesting when I noticed it. I'm like, oh, well, she have grays, but they're different temperatures of grays.
Mhm.
And
So it was Shuttle Art on Amazon.
uh-huh.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
and I thought it was a good
Their
idea.
sales are going to go up.
Yeah, by at least two.
Hmm.
I thought it was a good idea because I didn't talk about that. I didn't talk about different temperatures of grays. I only talked about just values in general, and I only talked about 4 different values, or having a value scale 1 through 5. So I thought it was interesting that you picked up a grayscale marker set that dealt with temperatures of color or temperatures of tone. But I think it added, um, it made an impact on your composition that I didn't think nothing of, because I've never seen somebody come in with a temperature grayscale set marker. But I love
Mhm.
what it did to your composition, because it gave us a, how would you say, it gave us just a drop or just a hint of color, but still remained in the gray zone of the color wheel. So I think you did a really great job with organizing them, organizing the values of these different grays. It's just very much, it's very interesting. And that's the thing. I think color, because color is one of the most vivid elements. Of course, we're attracted to anything that has color. Values just kind of it does all the work, but color is what attracts us to any composition. And I think you did a great job organizing these different temperatures of grays. It's a beautiful piece, very very beautiful piece. Like, I really love this area, which is more of a focal
Yeah, I'm
point.
very drawn to that
Yeah, it's a focal
that part
point.
of it. And I like the cake. You changed the cake.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a cake anymore.
I don't know what it looks like. It was hard to get it in bigger because I didn't because my little stencils didn't get that big. I had to go around and find other,
Cups,
so yeah.
saucers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Another thing, if I'm not sure if you have a printer. Another thing you can do is take your thumbnails and blow them up. When you make a photocopy of them. I used to do that because and also my students that are in abstract drawing too, I would tell them to do that because that was one of the things that they will always say. Drawing at a small scale is easy, but when we try to blow them up, that's when it gets a little bit more difficult for them to transfer the drawing over. So you can always photocopy your thumbnail and then blow them up in scale and size to the size that you want them, and then just transfer the drawing to the paper that you're going to work on. That will eliminate you having to figure out, okay, how I'm going to get this same image onto a
Mhm.
bigger sheet of paper. And most students like the whole idea of just doing a transfer or tracing their thumbnail
Yeah.
over to their paper. Yeah.
Well,
They
I
get
sat
that.
around doing the math to do the ratios of what my thumbnail was,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
then I
funny.
drew a grid to try to set everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, a grid will work as well because that also will help you blow it up and you're still maintaining your drawing
mhm,
skills. So either one,
yeah.
either or, you transfer over with tracing paper, or that transfer graphite sheet of paper, which most students like that idea, or you could do a grid that will work as well. Yeah.
Karen, I love that you put that brown gray big circle in the back and then the little
Mhm,
tails. It makes
mhm,
it like look like it's a movement.
mhm. It reminds me of balloons flying away.
Ah,
Yeah.
that is,
Because
yeah.
of the birthday cake.
Yeah, that too, in the banners.
But really good job. I enjoyed seeing these come in, your thumbnails and everything. So I think you guys did an amazing job with that. All right, guys. So let's get into the lecture for project 3. So for today, you guys, which is kind of interesting because we've had, at very least, we've had 2 elements and also 2 principles that I was introducing you to. So earlier this week, when I was starting to revamp this lecture, I noticed that I only have 1 element and also 1 principle, and that is the element of space and also the principle of rhythm. Crazy enough, this element and also this principle is very similar when it comes to understanding what they are, like the logic side of it. So I definitely want to go in and just recap what we did last week. So last week I introduced you guys to value. I gave you the definition of what value is, and also I talked about a value scale of 1 through 5, or you can have a value scale 1 through 7 or 1 through 9. I talked about local values, and that's very important to understand local values with any color, because that helps you organize your values and organize your color and have a great amount of interest within your composition. I also talked to you guys about, or at least introduce you to the different types of shapes: organic shapes, geometric shapes. You can have implied shapes. And then I also introduced you guys to contrast and also variety. So these were our principles of design for last week. And then I also introduced you guys to the 4 tonal plans that you can use within your compositions. And we got to see the artwork that was produced from that actual project. So when it comes to today, guys, I'm so sorry that this image on the right side is very pixelated, but I'll do my best to get through it. But today I'm going to introduce you guys to the elements of space. So space is an element of art that can refer to the area within a work of art. The distance between elements or the feeling of depth are 3 dimensions. It can also include the area immediately outside of the work of art. So when it comes to space, space it's a very how would you say, it's a lot that goes, it's a lot of sub elements that are within space, and sometimes students get a bit confused with a lot of the sub elements, but the element alone is space. And what I mean by the sub elements, so on the right hand side of the slide, these are all of the sub elements that can maneuver into space and that you can use when you're organizing space within a composition. So to start with, we have in size, overlapping, and also position. So some of you guys are already playing with different sizes, overlapping, and positions within your composition, but this also can help you when it comes to describing space within your composition. Whether it is deep space or whether it is shallow space, you could definitely use a lot of these sub elements to help with that. And then it's alternating value and also texture. This is very interesting because you definitely can use value to model to show 3D form. You can use value to also show space. So anything that is closer to the viewer is going to be darker in value. Anything that is further away, it's going to be lighter in its value. So that gives you an illusion of space. Same thing with texture. If you have more texture in the foreground of a composition, as texture starts to move away from the viewer eye, then that gives you the illusion of depth as well. Another thing is brightness and also color. So when it comes to brightness of color, or it could even be brightness of value, that also can describe space as well. If we think about it, I know earlier today, I was talking earlier today or earlier in the class, I was talking to Angie about light drop off. And what that means is when you are drawing, let's say, the figure or any object that is illuminated by light, as the light is closer to an object, um, it's going to illuminate a particular area of an object or even a composition. As light starts to fall away, we get less and less light. So that means that we're moving possibly vertically in a composition, or we can move into space, either horizontally or into depth within a composition, which is using light or the brightness of light. Same thing with color. Some colors recede into space, like cooler colors recedes into space. Warmer colors are pushed closer to the viewer's eye. So you can play with space with just using colors. Uh, the same thing as we start to move into atmosphere perspective, that kind of gives you the same idea of all the other sub elements that I've talked about. But how atmosphere perspective works is pretty much, once again, things that are closer to us. It's going to have the most intense values or the full spectrum of values, most intense colors or full spectrum of colors. You're going to see more detail, more texture, so on and so forth. as things move further back into your composition, you're going to see less and less value. You're going to see less and less color. You're going to see less and less detail, possibly less and less light as well. So that kind of gives you an idea of atmosphere perspective. There's technically a lot of perspectives that are out there, but these are just a few that it's just kind of numbered and named. Isometric perspective, and I will give you guys a visual of these perspectives. Isometric perspective is pretty much you'll have a horizon line, which where the sky and land meets, and then anything that's within your composition, let's say it's a house within your composition, the corners of your house is going to converge. Not converge, they're going to go to the horizon line, but they're not going or converging to any type of vanishing point. So it's a perspective that I think us Westerners don't really use, but you do see it used in a lot of Asian art. You do see it in graphic art as well. So it's a very unique type of perspective when it is used, but you'll know it when you see it. Linear perspective. So there's different types of linear perspective. There is 1 point perspective, 2 point perspective, and 3 point perspective. And most of the time, we will see in reality we can see all three perspectives. But most of the times, an artist can choose if they want to use just 1 point or 2 point, or even 3 point, or if they want to use all of them within a composition, they can. Really quick, did somebody have a question?
I had a question.
Okay.
The isometric perspective. Um, so I kind of understood the horizon, and is the image coming towards you or away from
So
you,
away
or
from
is
you.
it
Yeah. So
away from me?
if you have your horizon line where the
Hmm.
sky and land meets, and let's say in the foreground there's a house, which I have this kind of
Yeah.
visual image,
Hmm.
um, the corners of the house will start to go towards the horizon line. Typically,
Okay.
in 1 point, 2 point, and 3 point perspective, on our horizon line, we'll have a vanishing point where your corners will converge to the vanishing point.
Hmm.
So that is the difference between the two because you can get them easily get them confused.
Yeah.
Symmetric
Thank
and
you.
linear perspective, yeah. All right, guys, so I'm gonna close out my window.
Hmm.
All right, so another thing is light, and I know I talked about light with brightness of color, but also light can play a part in giving the illusion of space. So, just really quick, this kind of gives us a better idea of a visual of some of these perspectives that I've just talked about.
Hmm.
On the right hand side, this image is atmosphere perspective. So, as you can see, this little building in the foreground has more values or at least more details, more clarity. As we start to move away, our value weakens, our clarity weakens, detail weakens as we start to move away into the far background. So this gives you an idea of space with just using atmosphere perspective. This is all honesty. This is how a lot of us see in general.
Hmm.
This is just how humans see in general. So this is a little bit more realistic to our eyes, in my opinion, than mostly the other perspectives. This is an isometric perspective, so I know in this image it doesn't fully gives us a better idea of where the horizon line is, but where we see the front plane of the house and also some of the side planes of the house, these corners are converging to the horizon line, but they're not converging to an actual vanishing point. So these lines are parallel to each other. If they were converging, the lines will be more diagonal, moving towards a vanishing point. Then this is linear perspective. So this is 1 point perspective. So here we have our horizon line that's here.
Hmm.
This is our vanishing point in the center. So 1 point perspective, you can have a vanishing point in the center, or it can be one angular. It depends on what you're seeing or what you're trying to compose in your composition. But as we can see here with this illustration, this is our center vanishing point on the horizon line. So all of the corners, even the corners of the buildings, are converging to this vanishing point that's in the center. So that gives you a better idea of the different perspectives you can use within a composition if you want to use that, because it's really up to you as artists. These are other ideas that you can use if you want to deal with space without using any of the perspective. Once again, we have size. So size and overlapping together also can help you with um, giving some type of space within your composition. And then also placement. So we also have size and placement. You think of having something bigger in the foreground, medium size in the midground, and smaller in the background. That's giving us the illusion of space. Then also, it's although it says color, this is just organizing your values. Darker in the foreground. As we move into space, it gets a little bit lighter. That also helps with giving the illusion of space. And this will transfer over into color as well. Typically, it's more temperature, where you'll have warmer colors in the foreground, cooler colors in the background. Um, as well, when it comes to overlapping, once again, overlapping can also help us with space, whether you're using overlapping size and placement within your composition. That also gives you an idea of space. Detail, so the contrasting of detail. As you can see here, we have a more realistic looking sphere, and then the sphere that's in the background, less detail, but this is also a different size. But this is also giving us the illusion of just some shallow space as well. And then once again, perspective. So this is 1 point perspective. So once again, there is a 1 point, there's 2 point, and there's 3 point. And 2 point is pretty much you'll have two vanishing points on your horizon line. And then 3 point, you'll have two vanishing points on your horizon line and a vanishing point below the horizon line or above the horizon line. So I'm just going to keep it very basic because I know perspective can get very confusing very quickly. So when it comes to just giving you guys an image of these different types of space that you can deal with. So I'm going to quickly go over just intro to the principle of rhythm. When I was a student, for some reason, I didn't understand rhythm visually. I understood rhythm when it came to sound. And crazy enough, when I see any type of composition that deals with rhythm, and it's like an emphasis on rhythm, I hear music or I see music. I don't know how to explain that. But that is how I always went through, I guess, my I guess you could say college career of art, with understanding what rhythm is when you're composing. But I think as I started to age, I learned that rhythm uh, mainly deals with space. And it deals with a variety of elements and how you organize them within space. So this is what I'm saying, that rhythm and space are very similar, although they're, different. One is an element and one is a principle, but you can use them very similar. You can use the spacing of your elements and gain some type of rhythm from there, like a repetition with your elements. So rhythm in art is a principle that creates a sense of movement or action by repeating elements of design. It can help guide the viewer's eye from one part of a composition to another, and can also give the structure to the experience of looking at a piece of art. So when we look at the artwork that's on the right side of this slide, we have this very curvilinear type of movement, but it's also a movement that isn't quite fast because we have this curvilinear movement moving in a diagonal direction. It slows our eye down. If we didn't have this type of movement here, I think we would probably speed through the composition rather quickly. So once again, my brain is like, my brain, that's how I visually see it and hear it. I don't know why my brain is like that, but my mind goes into a whole different area when it comes to rhythm. But once again, I hear music versus seeing it 100% visually. But I definitely do love this composition because it's a regular rhythm versus a irregular rhythm. And I'll give you guys an example of those two. And I think it's best to think of rhythm in that way because you'll easily see it and catch it right away. So when you see this image that's on the left side, we have triangles, different size triangles. And if we look at the spacing is very irregular. Technically, the spacing of this rhythm slows our eye down, and we have to kind of maneuver through our different size triangles. When you look at a regular rhythm composition, we have very equal spaces and also equal sizes of our shapes. So this is a regular rhythm, and we kind of move through this composition a little bit quicker than we would the irregular rhythm. So I think if anything, if you're trying to simplify rhythm, this is the best way visually to simplify it down. That way you understand the difference between the two. On the right side, when it comes to the images, both images has different rhythms. And with just using, if you think about it, with just using the element of line and color or line and value, or you could say line and contrast. So just a quick, I'm just going to read this down. Um, Even if you do not know anything about the idea of rhythm in art, you know enough about rhythm and music to see it in both of, I think her name is Bridget Rowley's painting. They both contain repetition and variety. In the painting on the left, the stripes are repeated and the different colors of the stripes are variety.
My
Together,
visual just went away all of a sudden. I don't know if anybody else
it
is still.
went away. Let me see.
I can
Uh,
see.
I I can see.
okay,
Did
so
you lose
was
this?
your visual that went away?
The just the main shared visual went away. I
Yeah,
still have the thumbnails.
Oh,
you
Karen.
might.
Okay.
Yeah, you might have something that in front of that screen. I know that sounds silly, but can you minimalize or
see.
shrink down what you're looking at and see if it's hiding behind it?
It does not come up at an option when I look at the different. Let me see back here on. Okay, go ahead. I'll
Yeah.
monkey around.
Okay. You can always exit out and come back in.
I'll I'll try that actually.
Yeah. Okay, let me okay, so I'll minimize that screen. All right, guys. So when it comes to in the paintings on the left, the
Back.
stripes are repeated and the different colors of the stripes are variety. Together, it creates a rhythm. On the right, the black lines repeat themselves, but vary in thickness and also in length, so it's a variety. So as we can see, these are repetition of patterns. If we think about the spacing, is it? These are, in my opinion, this is very regular. This is a bit more irregular when it comes to the spacing. So that gives you an idea of if you're looking at somebody's artwork and you're trying to figure out the rhythm within their artwork, you can easily kind of see which one is a regular rhythm and which one is an irregular rhythm when it comes to spacing and are the variety of the element as well. And really quick. Okay, Karen, you made it back in. You see your
I'm
screen?
in. I'm back.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
Good. All right. So this is another image that I absolutely love. It's one of those images, once again, it packs a punch, but it's also so simplified. I definitely do love this irregular rhythm and also pattern within this composition. I love the hatching lines within this composition, the simplified lighting and value of the composition, and how it just guides your eye very gracefully vertically up within the composition. So I think it grabs you, it grabs your attention, and it has a punch when it comes to rhythm. Also when it comes to a bit of contrast, when it comes to spacing, because the spacing is very overlapping when it comes to the buildings, the different sizes. So you can easily start to pull out a lot of the elements and the principles of design within a composition once you get to know them and start to see them and understand how an artist organized them within a composition. Just a very beautiful, beautiful piece. I love this piece. All right, guys. So I know that's a lot to kind of go over. We went over the element of space. We went over the principle of rhythm. I talked about three composition structures: central, curvilinear, and symmetrical, which are, the top three of the basics that you just really kind of want to know. So for today, we already got an idea of what we're going to do for today when it comes to our assignment. We're going to come up with three different thumbnails just to get our ideas out. And one thing that is different with this actual project is a little bit of our materials. So once we get our final thumbnail once we choose it, of course, you're going to use your final thumbnail as your reference for your assignment. What we're gonna do is we're gonna use gray paper. So if you're like, Dree, I don't got gray paper right now, it's a-okay if you don't have your gray paper. I'm sure you can get it throughout the week. If anything, it's always good to just get your thumbnails and your ideas out and spend time on that for the remainder of the class period. You don't necessarily have to have 11 by 17 gray paper. You could definitely just use a 9 by 12, 8 by 11, or you could probably buy one sheet from an art store and cut it down to the actual size that you'll need. If you feel like you're going to use your gray paper a lot, then I would suggest buy a small pad of gray paper, whether it's 9 by 12 or 8 by 11. That way you can continue with different projects on your own if you want to do that. But once again, if you don't have it today, do not worry about it. We definitely, you can get it during the week and finish the project. But we're going to use gray paper. Also, the media that we're using is Prismacolor erase pencil, and that's going to be white and black. So if you're just kind of like, I don't have Prismacolor erase pencils, that's fine. To get your drawing down, you can use a light graphite pencil, like a 2H or a 3H, or you can go even higher. That way your lines are very light. You can use your regular Prismacolor pencils, white and black, to fill in your values. So how gray paper works is that it's a mid-tone value paper. So let's say we have a value scale of 1 through 5. It's going to be a value 3. And your white pencil is what you're going to use to put down your values 1 and 2. And your black pencil is what you're going to use to put down your values 4 and 5. So that means white, light gray, dark gray, and black. The paper is your midtone. So you don't put nothing in no type of color pencil in the form of the same value of your gray paper, if that makes sense. So you want to make sure you're allowing your paper to be used to its advantage and don't cover up everything on your paper. You don't necessarily have to do that. So with gray paper, it tends to move a lot faster when it comes to rendering. So you definitely want to make sure you're just kind of keeping that in mind when you're using your gray paper to allow your value 3 to work for you. I do ask for you to use at very least one composition structure, whether it's central, curvilinear, or symmetrical. Of course, symmetrical is something that we're comfortable with and with using, but if you want to venture out and want to try a curvilinear composition or a central composition, you could definitely try all three while you're experimenting with your thumbnails. You definitely can use all three in one composition. Just make sure you choose a dominant structure, and then you can use the other two as less dominant. So let me open up my grid for everybody. Before we move into our video and take our break, does anyone have any questions before we decided to take our break?
So we
I found
do
a
our
paper.
thumbnails on the gray paper, is that right?
You can, or you can do it on your white paper. It doesn't matter.
Just to get,
Yeah,
yeah,
get
I don't
comfortable with
know how
it.
it's going to behave.
Yeah, no. That's why I was like, it's some students do like to do their thumbnails on the gray paper. Some students like to do them in their sketchbook on white paper. But I definitely will agree to get comfortable with your materials. That it's great to always start with your gray paper. So I agree with that. Oh, yeah.
My paper is 11 by 14. Is that okay rather than 11 by 17?
Yeah, that's fine.
Or should I change it?
No, your gray paper, if it is that size, you're fine. If you want a smaller, yeah, you're good. If you want a smaller sheet of paper, you could just cut it down. You could definitely do that too. Yeah. All right, guys. If there are not any other questions, we're gonna go ahead and take our 10-minute break. So if you didn't get a little bit of breakfast, you could definitely do that. You can use the bathroom, and then once we get done with our 10-minute break, and then we'll start our video, and we'll get through the video. So we'll be back about, let's say we could do at 8:45. We'll be back from our break. It's probably more than 10 minutes, but it's fine.
Okay.
Sorry, I know I said 8, but it's probably 10:45 for you guys.
Yeah.
Hey young artists, so I am back with another tutorial for my abstract drawing 1 class. So today, yes, we are starting, or this week, we are starting a new project. So this project is actually project number 6. So in project number 6, we're going to deal with the element of space, and we're also going to deal with the principle of design, that is rhythm. So when it comes to what we're using today, we're going to use gray paper with black or white pencil. So the reason why I put black or white pencil is because students are going to have the choice of using charcoal white and or charcoal black, or they have the choice to use Prismacolor white or Prismacolor black. So you can use a Prismacolor, which is a color pencil, or you can use charcoal. Either or will definitely work with this gray paper. So for the tutorial, for the actual demo, I'm going to use my Prismacolor pencil. So I'm going to use color pencils for it. I tend to do that because for me lately, more and more, although I love charcoal, it gets very messy rather quickly. And I love the fact that I can come in with color pencils and it give me somewhat of the same effect that charcoal pencils would give on gray paper. So I wanted to kind of just break in and talk about that. That way, if I have students that are missing in class, they kind of got an idea what materials they're going to use, and I'll probably go back over materials again. So also, you guys, when it comes to the different types of space, there's a lot of different types of space. I actually put down just a few that I can just quickly jot down. So you can deal with space when it comes to size. So different sizes of things can create space as they start to move back into space, as well as placement. So placing things in certain areas, whether it's a foreground, middle ground, or background, that also can give you an idea of space, color, and also value, depending on what you're dealing with. If you're dealing with just values, typically lighter values can also sit far back in the background. Midtones are typically middle ground of a composition. Typically you want full spectrum of values in your foreground. So you can maneuver into some darker, some lighter. You just want to at very least have 3 to 4 values to kind of help with that space or color. When it comes to color, typically if you move into the background, colors can tend to become more cooler, more grayish. Full spectrums of color is in the foreground, and you kind of have a mid-tones of colors in the middle ground. Then when it comes to overlapping, you guys, that also helps with space as well, because you can overlap objects that moves into space. Then detail, sometimes rendering, if you're coming in with light logic principles, that also helps with space because it's turning form and we're given the illusion that you could possibly walk around it. So detail can definitely help when it comes to trying to get particular space, as well as perspective. Any type of linear perspective, whether it's 1 point, 2 point, or 3 point, or atmosphere perspective, and also isometric perspective can help with that as well. So those are different types of space that you can play around with when it comes to trying to figure out a composition with that. when it comes to different types of rhythm, so rhythm and space are similar, although they're one is an element of art and the other one is a principle of design, but they're similar. And the reason why I'm saying that is that to simplify it down, you can have irregular rhythm or you can have a regular rhythm. So if we look at this composition here, this is regular rhythm because somewhat of all the spaces are consistent, right? This can fall under irregular or it can fall under regular, but I would choose to say this is irregular. This is definitely irregular when it comes to rhythm, right? Another thing when it comes to rhythm, you want to think about repetition, movement, or action by repeating elements of design. So if you're seeing my composition, it's very, I would just say, simplified down to just lines and shapes, but I am still trying to think of my space. And what I'm thinking about is shallow space, not so much of deep space. And I'm also thinking about size, placement, and value. A little bit of overlapping as well, not so much details, definitely not perspective. So when you are dealing with that repetition, we're repeating shapes, we're repeating lines, but it also has a bit of a movement in that type of rhythm in the composition. So a lot of, in my opinion, rhythm and space are very similar, so they're kind of easy to use together because you're just thinking about how you're moving the eye back into space, whether if it's in a rhythmic way or using rhythm in that way, but you're going to pull an eye in some type of direction, whether it's space vertically up or down, or you can say height, because height also deals with space, as well as if you're moving with space in depth. But you can definitely do that with playing with rhythm as well because they both kind of do the same thing. So another thing I want to talk about just real quick in this intro is I want to talk about composition. So my students are going to learn a little bit more about composition. So I'm going to go over even composition. It's a composition structure as well as armatures. So there's different types of armatures like root rectangles, golden means or golden sections. There's a lot of names for this. And then also the rule of thirds. So golden means, golden sections, golden root, even the rule of thirds are very consistent. Most young artists know these as some type of composition structure. When it comes to root rectangles, that's probably a little bit new because that deals with a little bit more geometry, but root rectangles over time ends up being the rule of thirds because you're dealing with a lot of rectangles within a space that also deals with different types of whether you're coming in with an X, you're dividing that, coming in with another X, dividing that, it tends to end up becoming a bunch of different rectangles. And when you have crosshairs, those crosshairs is where you want to place certain I guess you say points within your composition for the eye to go is what how I'm going to simplify it down. So when it comes to an even composition is just that. It's just even all over. So the one thing that I did not 100% think about, because I was really focusing on my artwork when it came to just rhythm and space, I wasn't 100% thinking about, am I using the rule of thirds? Am I using an armature or even all over composition? But I'm gonna be honest with you, one of these can fall within that. Like, this is definitely even all over. If we're thinking about a root armature or a rule of thirds, that's where it's going to get a little bit difficult. Even with the golden means, that's a little difficult, but we can say this can fall under that ratio for the golden means or the golden section because it's really a ratio of 1.618. So that means that we have a square that's here and then we have kind of like a rectangle shape. But when you think about the golden means, you think about that snail. So this can honestly fall under golden means if we really think about it. It's kind of an asymmetrical kind of composition. And then when it comes to the rule of thirds, like I said, I didn't really think any of this through when it comes to that, but we definitely, these two can fall under even composition, or it can fall under the golden means. This can possibly fall under a root rectangle, but I don't know because I would have to draw in the crosshairs for it to make sense with what I'm trying to go for. So my students are going to learn about this in class. I'm going to go in depth into a lecture, but this kind of just gives somebody that is following along with this video an idea of some composition structures that they can possibly look up on the University of YouTube or the University of the Googler, which is Google. So it's really up to the artists that want to learn more about this, but I just wanted to come in with an intro, and it's always never quick. It's always about 10 minutes, but I just wanted to talk about these few things. That way students have an idea of what I was thinking, what was my process, what was my ideas, and what I was actually going for in this actual artwork. Really quick, when it comes to supplies, you guys, I am using gray paper. So I do have a heavy border around my gray paper because I know for sure I'm not going to go into my background. So when I tape it down, at least I want to have some type of border there. And then I am using a Prismacolor erase pencil for getting my drawing down. I'm going to do my best to do this lightly. And then I am using, for some value rendering, Prismacolor Premier regular color pencils. As you can see, there's no eraser on the end of it. And then I am going to use this jumbo jet black, which I have no idea what is the properties of this pencil. This is from Jerry's Artorama, and I'm assuming, because it's very similar to a color pencil with how it feels, so I would have to look at the actual, what is the elements within, or at least what is the make of this pencil. But I do believe it's possibly oil or wax, with some type of binder in the actual core, because that's what it feels like. So I'm sure I can use that with my color pencils as well. So I just wanted to kind of talk about that, of course, just in case I need it. I do have a ruler near. I just want to talk about some materials and what I'm going to be using for this actual composition. Other than that, you guys, definitely stay tuned for the demo. That way you get an idea of what thumbnail I choose and what I'm actually going to do. So I will see you guys in the next clip. Bye, guys. Hey everyone, so I'm coming in with a quick voiceover, and in this voiceover I'm just going to talk a little bit about my process. So when it comes to this actual, I guess you could say it's more of a gesture. I'm just getting the gesture down of my thumbnail. So on the right side of the screen is the finished product, but I was working for my actual thumbnail. So I'm starting with a gesture because I really want to make sure I have fluid lines. My image basically is just shapes, lines, as well as values, and I only picked about 4 different values: a light gray, a dark gray, as well as black and white. So I wanted to keep it simple. I wanted to make sure that I'm using a sense of overlapping when it comes to getting space. I didn't get that much space. It's very shallow space. But I also wanted to, I think I was really paying attention, or I wanted to really show rhythm in my composition. So because I really wanted my lines to be fluid, I really kept my drawing very gestured, and I corrected drawing as I went. So I was using my Prismacolor erase pencil for the drawing, which is a light. I made sure I had a light hand so I could get light lines with that black pencil. And then I erased out the lines for my white leaves, because I didn't want my Prismacolor erase pencil and my Prismacolor Premier pencil to mix. Typically on gray paper, whether you're working in color pencils or charcoal, traditionally you don't want your black and white pencils to mix. So you just want to make sure that you're using the paper to its full advantage when you are drawing. So the paper is the in-between. The paper is the value for us, for our class, because our class is on a typically most of my classes are on a value scale 1 through 5, so you want to make sure the paper is the mid-tone, which is a value 3 for us. So I used the Prismacolor erase pencil for more of my darker grays, and I came in with the black Prismacolor pencil or Prismacolor Premier pencil for my dark, or basically for my blacks, not my darks. So I plugged in my white or light values first, and then I plugged in my dark values, which is my black values, second, because I wanted to make sure I can gauge my darker gray tone, or have somewhere to go that in between where it's light but it's also darker than the white and lighter than the black. So I wanted to make sure I had those values down, that way I can gauge it just right. So I just wanted to pop in because I know you guys can probably barely see my actual gesture drawing, because that's how light I wanted to keep my drawing, because I know I wanted not so much line to be dominant. I wanted my values or my tones, because I'm dealing with 4 tones, to be dominant in this composition. So as I am plugging in my values, I am cleaning up my drawing as I'm going. So just kind of keep that in mind, because my gesture was just that. It was a gesture of just shapes and lines. But I just wanted to talk about just a little bit of my process and my thought process and what I am doing. I am thinking about line weight variation, because I am using lines. I didn't get that much variation in my line work, but I wanted to have a little bit of those different tones even with lines. So you guys, this is pretty much just my voiceover of a little bit of my process. That way you have an idea of what I am doing and how I am using my materials. So my Prismacolor Premiers, I am using them on top of my Prismacolor Erase, because those pencils are softer. I do plug in some of that, I think it's the Jerry's Art Arama. I want to say it's a color pencil, but I did plug that in certain areas for some really rich darks. And it gave me that, and I was happy with that approach. But other than that, you guys, I will see you in the next demo. I will talk to you. I'll talk to you guys later, or at least I'll talk to you guys in class. But enjoy this demo. I enjoyed it. I actually loved how it turned out. I'm really enjoying some of these demos with my abstract class, and I'm loving their artwork as well, my students' artwork. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Carrie, so in each case, the seam down the middle of the leaf is just a negative space. I mean, you didn't actually draw those except for a little bit of the white in the.
Yes. So that is where I'm allowing gray paper to show. So that's my mid-tone value. That's there. Yeah.
That was my question exactly.
And so is this more like, how would you describe this as curvilinear, or what kind of structure?
Oh, so this one, for us, you could say it's curvilinear, because we only have curvilinear, symmetrical. It kind of falls under an asymmetrical if you take a line and pull it through diagonally. But you would say it's curvilinear.
But I mean, these are leaves.
Yes.
So, as far as our assignment, are we supposed to create something that looks like something organic? I mean,
That's a good question.
Not,
Let me pause it just really quick.
Sorry.
No, it's a good question because I don't think I talked about this with this assignment because I didn't get to talk about, and that's because I'm rearranging my lectures to fit this class, but I didn't talk about non-objective and abstract. I talked about it briefly week 1.
Right.
So if you're seeing this and you're like, they're leaves. So that means that I'm using using abstract and not non-objective. So I didn't talk about that, nor did I talk about it in the lecture that we have switched over to abstract. So the difference between the two, and by all means, because I didn't go over it, if you want to stick with non-objective, you definitely can. Like I have no problem with that. But when it comes to abstract, once again, basically we can attach something from reality for abstract, but it's just going to be distorted. For me, we understand that as leaves, but we also know there's no such thing as white leaves unless there's somewhere in the world that we just don't know. So that means I distorted, definitely distorted the shape of the leaves, as well as I distorted the color. So I was able to kind of like play around with those elements when it comes to leaves. But my viewer, like you, Angie, you understood that they were leaves, but they were just an abstract version of leaves.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, that was a really good question because I completely forgot to even remind you guys of that and let you know guys know that we have switched over to abstract from non-objective. If you are interested in doing abstract, just remember you want to distort whatever you are drawing in your composition. If you want to stick to non-objective, you could definitely stick to non-objective as well, because I didn't even talk about it. But good question. So I'm gonna close off the grid and then we'll finish off the video. All right, guys.